Hello, my dears. Thank you for joining me. I recently did a channeling mini masterclass on healing our relationship with money and abundance. And that is the following audio you are going to hear. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it helps to enlighten you and your relationship with money and abundance as we all work together to individually and collectively heal our relationships with money and abundance, with love and with light always. Enjoy the audio. Whether you're a have or a have not in terms of money, and remember that that term should be taken lightly because anything and everything is shiftable at any moment. But whether you're a have or a have not, in terms of your relationship with money and the collective relationships with money, until you heal it as an individual, both groups tend to have the same core fear. When you don't have money, obviously it's very easy to fear not having enough and losing it when you do finally make it, to fill the hole and plug the hole in the bottom of the boat, right? To go towards paying needs that you've already expended for, or finally getting it and the money goes immediately towards the needs, and either there's not enough for those needs or there's nothing left over. So that is more easy for people to understand. However, when you are a have, when you finally start making money and having money, or get the big breaks that you've been putting in so much time and effort and energy for, you can face the same core fear of losing it. Suddenly you have this amount in your bank account that you've never had before, and you can face the same fear of being terrified of losing it. You can see how easily it can go. You can see how when you need to spend it or some of it for something, or you're choosing to do so for an investment, how easy it could be for that amount that you worked so hard, right, to build until we change the mindset on that, can just disappear like that in an instant. And so I want to encourage people to see both sides of this, to see the other group of people, or to remember when they were in the other group of people, because whether you have money or whether you don't have money, the collective mindset and energy and attitude and relationship has been for far too long: it won't be enough, I will lose it, it's hard to make, it's hard to receive, it's hard to excuse the amount that I need to charge or the amount that I need to spend. So this relationship that we have with money, where it's difficult and it's fearful and it's not grateful, really needs to shift and change. And it needs to shift and change individually for our own building of abundance and maintenance of abundance and use of abundance in a loving and lighted way, as opposed to the way that it's been for most of our current patriarchal society, where when people finally get money, they tend to go back to this core fear and wound and hoard it, or misuse it, or let it sit there and not do anything with it because they're so afraid that it won't be replenished, or only use it to make more without the purpose of what that money's actually doing. So learning to reestablish our relationship with money, learning to be conscious in our relationship with money and abundance, and with money as an energy. And it doesn't have to be evil, and it doesn't have to be selfish, and disbanding the cords and the energetic ties and correlations that we've all made as a society between money as an energy and as a currency, and the evil or selfish or dark or hurtful people or beings or societies who've created or controlled the use of money, is going to be vitally important to disassociate those two things, right? Even if money was created on not great terms, anything and everything is an energy, anything and everything is a tool, and it's all about how we work with that energy and how we use that tool. So this time, especially in our history, I believe is helping us shift our relationship between power and powers that be and money and our own individual power and relationship with money. This is going to dive a lot into personal self-work and shadow work, where you really look at your worth, where you really look at where you feel enough and not enough and why, and disbanding those wounds, right? So that you're not magnetizing an unhealthy attraction with worth and money and worth and giving and receiving in all forms, really. And then it also goes to, once we've reestablished and understood and healed that part of ourselves, reestablishing and healing our relationship with money. Like I was saying, disbanding it from the association of negativity and selfishness and evil and control, and putting a new designation on it of love and abundance and support and stability, and for me, it's been essential in healing this relationship, in thanking money. Instead of, for so many years, my family and my position taught me to look at money as not enough, look at it as something always losable, look at it as something almost unattainable, or that you have to work really, really hard to attain or to prove your worth or value before you'll receive it. And that's complete BS. That's the exact type of programming and mindset that keeps you and keeps people and groups of people down. And the more we look into that and heal that, individually and collectively, the more we start to rebalance ourselves and our societies and the power, and the more we can move towards a society and a world in love and light and abundance and balance and highest good for everyone. And it's not that all people with a great deal of money are evil. There are more and more people that are holding on to their vibration of love and light as they attain money or as they inherit money, or are using it to pay back and understand karma, and start to rebalance society and causes. I would encourage you to look into those things with eyes very wide open and research heavy, and always work on building your relationship with yourself and your intuition first, before looking to the example of another, or placing judgment or hate or fear on another. Whether that's a person, whether that's a group, whether that's a government or a society, it can be so very easy for us to place hate and judgment on these people and these groups who have mismanaged money. But until we also look at ourselves and taking our own power back with how we really want to receive and manifest and manage money, much of those things aren't going to change anyway. So we can send hope and prayer that those people who currently have the money and the power start to shift and start to do the right thing. But and we can absolutely hold people accountable, research, protest, whatever you're called to do. But until you work on yourself, until you work on your own mindset and energy and vibration and understanding, you're not going to see enough of that shift in the world, because you are a co-creator of the world that you're living in. And there's nothing that you can push for change outside of yourself that will happen if you're not also going in and balancing and building change within yourself, first and foremost. So one of the things I've been doing for that is addressing the fears as they come up. As I start to make strides in my own healing with abundance, I will recognize when a fear comes up or a thought of lack comes up, and I will sit with it and try to determine why it's there, try to disband it and see when was the first time I felt something like that. Whose idea was that besides mine? Because most often those beliefs and fears and patterns start outside of us and are infringed upon us at an early age from seeing the example of society or from our family. So yes, the program of that tape and of that pattern and of that belief can come from outside of you. But until you recognize and address that it's come from outside of you and start to separate it and also build up the positive belief that you can now have that goes against that negative belief, that mental track will still play in the background and in the subconscious and will lead the show in attraction. So recognize, not trying to repress when you have those fears of lack and just shut it down and cloud it out with affirmation, because when you repress it, you resist it. What you resist will persist or rear its ugly head again on some level at some other time. So recognizing it, healing it, doing it in layers, bits and pieces, seeing what past memories or past beliefs come up about it and disbanding it, calling it a liar, thanking it for its purpose of getting you to see a larger lesson, appreciating that, but also appreciating that you didn't learn and grow enough because of it, and you're ready to learn and grow and heal now. So you release that belief with love. And then you build up the positive belief. You have to really think about what you want to believe, as opposed to what you've been taught to believe. And this can go for money. This can go with any negative belief system. And then once you've done that and addressed the negative fears, it's also helpful to notice where you have patterns with money and where you can just step out bit by bit, habit by habit of falling back into those patterns and those negative mental grooves, and where you can step into a new one. And it can be slow going. It can bring up fear and anxiety or stress. It can make you have thoughts and fears and feelings that it's wrong. It's wrong to do this, because there's going to be so much ego attached. And even if a pattern is wrong and it's not serving us and it's actually deterring us from what we want, when we've built up a pattern for so long, our ego will tell us that it's safe because we know it. And our ego wants to help keep encouraging the things we know. Spirit wants to rediscover and rebuild in the new and learn and heal and grow and change. And ego wants to preserve, right? That's the ego's purpose, is to keep you alive. So we know, or we think we know, that continuing that pattern will keep us alive, even if it goes against actual logic and proof. The feeling of the ego will believe that it will keep you safe by maintaining the pattern as opposed to stepping out of it. So what you want to do is comfort yourself when you have these feelings of anxiety about stepping out of a pattern. Remind yourself that the anxiety and the fear doesn't have to be real, and thank your ego for trying to preserve you and keep you alive, but you want to live in a better way now. So remind yourself that you're safe as you step out of that pattern and habit. And again, this can be assigned to any pattern and habit you're stepping out of, but when we're specifically talking about money right now, just some examples could be, when you finally get that paycheck, you spend it right away. You spend it on the bills right away. You treat yourself to something right away. And just slowly stepping out of that pattern in little ways will be helpful. Maybe the bill's not due until tomorrow. Maybe the bill's not due until midnight, depending on when you're finally receiving that money. And just stepping out of the pattern of receiving and instantly giving, and just letting it sit and letting it settle, and look at that amount that's in your bank account or sitting in your hand and be grateful that it's there while it's there. Thank money. I've been using thank you in a different language than my first language because sometimes we have a relationship with our primary language where it's just so much default that we're not thinking about it. And when we can learn to say thank you in another language, we're often putting more stock and thought and meaning behind the words at first because it's not so ingrained in us. So I've been saying thank you to money in another language than it is my primary language so that it's not default, so that I have to think about it as I'm thanking it. And doing this in terms of thank you, money, for showing up for me. I enjoy you being here. Thank you for showing up for me. And then when you spend it, thank you for supporting me in receiving this. Thank you for providing for me. Thank you for showing up to me again and coming back to me tenfold. And trusting that thank you. You can do it in a matter of seconds, and it can start to become a habit, which is good because positive habits are good. But remember to also remind yourself as you're doing it, yes, this is important. I'm really taking at least a second or two to understand and feel this. And at first, when you do it, I'm just going to be honest with you, as always, as I always strive to be, it can feel really great and it can feel really empowering, and you could start to see the results of it. And then you can tend to feel that habit come back in, where sometimes when you do it, you could feel that fear of, oh gosh, will you really show back up to me? Or this is just automatic, like I have to do it. We all know that feeling of those people, or sometimes being the person that says, hi, how are you? And it's automatic and you're not really thinking about asking the other person how they are. So this can become that way with the habit of thanking money as you receive it and as you spend it. Be conscious of the fact that you're going to continually have to step out of the pattern and the mental groove and the habit and the negative belief of lack as you spend it. Because it's such a deeply rooted and ingrained fear in most of us to, yes, have gratitude when we're actually able to spend money on something and receive something, or receive something as an investment, but also have the simultaneous background subconscious track almost automatically of lack, of fear of how long is this going to last? Will I ever receive something like this again? Will I ever have this much money again? So being willing to stop and press pause on the track, or the CD or cassette player or record player, for those of you who are old enough to understand and remember that reference. Being willing to stand in your power to recognize when that's happening in the background, press pause on it, disband that belief, take the batteries out of that record player, and put your energy and your batteries and your life force and belief into a new one. Recognize it and release it. Don't just dismiss it, because then it will be somewhere in the background still. So recognize it and release it, and then replenish yourself with a new positive belief. So these are just some of the ways that I am healing my relationship with money and abundance, and I wanted to share them with you in this time. I hope that they're helpful to you. Please understand that inner work can go deeply layered. It can be rooted and ingrained with other things, and that's why we do self-work and inner work and healing continuously as we're alive. We're continually growing and healing and changing our understanding and elevating our understanding of things. So please keep at your inner work. Please keep at continually building a healthier relationship with yourself and with money and with your mindfulness and habits and patterns in all ways. If you need some help in healing personal habits and mindsets and energy and life force in your body, that's something that I'm very passionate about doing. coaching and offering as a service, you can contact me about that. There are links below in the description if this has helped you and you would like to show your appreciation in any amount in the form of energetic and monetary donation. My PayPal is always available and graciously accepting that, and I thank you very much. And I thank you for being here and being conscious and healing your relationship with yourself and with money, because yes, it will absolutely make a difference in your life and in my life, but it's also what changes the world. You know, this is what changes the world, and it means more than you know. To self-love and self-care and heal yourself makes a huge difference in the light and love quotient on this planet, and that is my mission, and I appreciate that. So please contact me below if you're interested in my services or other offerings. Leave a comment on some of your ideas and perspectives on this, or an affirmation on something that you are healing with money. And please like, share, subscribe, all the things to help the message get out there to others. I love and thank and appreciate you, and I will see you next time. This is Danielle, #damsel at D's Enlightened Edits, signing off for now and sending love always.